All right, welcome to Science to Sorcery. My name is Jake Marco. I am a life activation practitioner and ritual master in the Modern Mystery School. I have with me Dr. Nick Penzarella, who is a healer and teacher in the Modern Mystery School, and also a doctor of chiropractic. Welcome, Nick.
How's it going, Jake? Thanks for having me.
Good, good. And for everyone listening who's either this is your first episode or you've listened in the past, the kind of thesis around this whole thing, this whole podcast is, what's missing when you live a life without spirit, full of, I lived a very logical life. I was, came in and actually met Nick back in 2021, 2022, February 2022. I met you and I was studying science and was dealing with a lot of back pain. Um, and found this interesting piece where like it seemed like just focusing on only logic alone was actually hindering me. And I thought it'd be really cool to talk to you about how that sort of that lens of chiropractic and how that relates to the idea of, what's lost when you're only focused on the science.
Let's dive right in. I remember those days of you being in your logic brain. I remember
Yeah.
your first appointments and taking care of you in the beginning, and I definitely were you. Man, you were so frustrated, and like I remember what it's like to be in pain, having like broken my back, and you and I have like somewhat similar issues. I'm just like 20 years older than you, but I remember you being stuck in those moments, and you'd be like, it doesn't make any sense, and I feel like I was just kind of like, it's not going to make sense. Like it is what it is. You're going to have to go through it. We're going to have to figure out all the things around why this hurt, why this pain is here. At least that's how I play it over in my head.
Yeah, and in your mind or in your, with your words, you're just like face down.
Well, yeah, I mean, after a while, right? Like, yes. Well, face
Breathe.
down. Take a breath. Stop using your mind.
Yeah. And that's like the rapport. I mean, I think the important thing, right, is I started with you, and it was very clear from the beginning that you cared. And
I do, and I did. Something
yeah,
about you, man. I just instantly cared about you, and I care
yeah,
about everybody. I do. It's an interesting thing when you care for people. It's you have this balance of trying to like as a chiropractor, people come in for a problem with a problem, and you're like, I know how to help. I want to help, and you become like this just very excitable puppy. But for whatever reason, with human psychology, you're not allowed to be enthusiastic right away. So you have to just kind of like hold the center line. Like, got it, understood. Okay, yep. What's next? Got it. Anything else? Anything else? And then slowly you start to introduce the connection. But as long as you build rapport, I think everything works well.
now, would you say that the kind of patient that I was when I came in was very logic focused and was, how does this work and what's going on and, you know, how are the synapses in my body reacting to these different things? Like, is that a thing that you come across often in your line of work?
Well, I sort of call you guys the skeptics. And the thing is, I actually love the skeptics the most. And that's one of the things I loved about you because one, you're very intelligent and you're very in your like you're very in your head, but you've got a lot in there in terms of scientific knowledge and understanding. So if I drop something on you, you'd be like, "What do you mean?" And then I'd sort of elaborate, and you'd be like, "Well, what do you mean?" And then after a while, it would get to the point of like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to sit you down for like a 2 day class, and like you're gonna need a lot more background." um, but I appreciated that because you actually allowed me to be in my sort of like nerdy, more skeptical, more like science based. Like this is what's happening. This is what's happening in the body. This, then that. Like the logical conclusion of if I do this, then this should happen. And even taking care of you, and I've been doing this for 12 years, and a lot of times the caring for patients is just things that happen where you're like, well, that's not supposed to happen, or wow, that's amazing. That's totally amazing. That happened so soon. Like I might clinically expect someone to be out of pain after like a month. of reasonable and consistent care. And then some people come in like 2 days later and be like, this is amazing. This is awesome. I'm like, okay, well, it's going to come back. Right. And then, but then it just won't. Or some people, I'll expect something to just be super easy and they really got to move through some stuff. And I think in some ways you were like that. Keep me on topic here because you know how I do. The skeptics are probably my favorite people though. Like all like scientists, I seem to sort of fill the practice a little bit with them. Um, I like it because the thing about chiropractic is I just have to do what I do and do it with love and maintain my rapport, and you're going to get better. And it doesn't mean that there aren't other factors that are going to affect it. You know, there's certain things where you're doing everything right, and then you have to go like, okay, well, what else is going on? Like, what are you eating? How are you thinking? How are your relationships? Like, what's your job like? And you might find out that, you know, they're doing amazing, and here their system is clearing, and then they're doing well. And by all means, like objectively, things are changing, but they go home to a miserable relationship or a miserable job. And it's kind of like you could eat nothing but healthy vegan organic food or whatever it is perfect for your body type. But if your mind is full of poison, then everything you put in your mouth is going to be poison. Everything, nothing healthful is going to come out of that lifestyle because there's still that negativity. So there are other factors, but I like when there's a skeptical logic brain because I'm like, all right, well, yeah, use your logic. Like you come here, we do this thing. This is what you have going on. This is what's moving. This is what's not moving. This is where scar tissue is built up. And so it's very easy to get into that. This is the problem. This is what we're going to do to solve it, and we're going to work together along the way and deal with what comes up.
Now, as someone who, you started your career not in chiropractic,
True, I
um,
did not.
how did you approach that first? Like when you first found a chiropractor, were you a skeptic? Was that sort of the place that you came into it?
You know what? No. Um, I was probably, if I was a skeptic of it, I was a skeptic of it in the sense that I just sort of took the cultural understanding, meaning what I had heard about chiropractors, chiropractic. Uh, for me, it was, oh, whatever. I guess once you keep going, once you go, you have to keep going back forever. Oh, it's not really a thing I want. That's you later learn that that's actually complete and total nonsense. But what it is for me, it was like I was in a lot of pain. So I was in construction, doing like some like putting in engineering prints and doing fiber optics and telephone lines, and that was a lot of fun. And was a supervisor for that, so it was an opportunity to use that kind of science brain that I have of like making sure things got done, making sure that communications happened. Like just the telecommunication system was always really fascinating to me. But I got into a car accident. I broke my back. I was in chronic pain. I had been through physical therapy. I had been through this ortho. They'd done all these tests. Um, I was taking opiates or opioid painkillers, and well, those helped, right? They helped a little too much, in my opinion. So I had gotten to the point where I was at wit's end, and I was like, give me surgery, do whatever you got to do. I got to get off these painkillers. I'm miserable. I'm in pain. I can't deal with this anymore. So I was at a point of like, I need help. I don't care where it comes from. You could have sent me to a shaman you could have sent me to a total fake person who just like shook a rain stick at me, and I would have been okay with as long as the end result was my back doesn't hurt 8 out of 10 on a regular basis all day long and spiking up to 12 out of 10, I would have been cool. So I had a little bit of an openness where it was like I had a rapport. Ended up trusting the chiropractor because like he smiled, he was pleasant, he was friendly, he listened, where it didn't seem like anybody listened. And I was like, all right, this seems doctory enough for me. Let's go, let's do it. Right. And it delivered. And it took a while to get out of pain, but what I noticed was my function was coming back. So even in those points where I'm like, oh, I'm skeptical, like, is this really working? It was really beyond a doubt that it was working because I was doing more. I still had pain, but I was able to do stuff. So like the difference between 8 out of 10 and doing nothing and 6 out of 10, like being able to drive your girlfriend to a thing and have her Like it wasn't affecting my relationship as much, kind of thing. That was massive life effect for me. So it started to turn the gears. Like, yeah, this is definitely working. This is pretty cool. Um, Eventually, it got to the point where I was like, this is literally the only place I'm happy. And I'm off of all these medications. I'm gonna need you to explain. Like, my science brain finally kicked in when I was out of enough pain, and I'm like, listen, we got to talk. And like, I think he thought I was going to do something crazy or like quit care or like ask for my money back or something. And I'm like, I'm off of blood pressure medication. I've been on blood pressure medication for 5 years. I'm down 10 pounds and I'm not allergic to stuff anymore. I need you to explain what's going on because the only thing I do different is come here. And he sat me down and he pulls out this nerve chart. He's like, okay, here's the deal. The brain connects to the body through the spinal cord and it goes out through your spine. Now you came in because you have back pain. And, we talked, another thing I had, like irritable bowel syndrome. He's like, so you have lower back problems. The same nerves that go out to the lower back also have connections out to the organs, especially the lower intestine and the small intestine. I'm like, oh, okay. So he's like, your back is functioning better because we're putting in movement, getting pressure off those nerves. I've since come to find out that it's much more complicated than that, but it was a good enough explanation for me at the time. And everything just started functioning better. And the ultimate result was really, it was my brain and body were communicating better. And so my consciousness and like my antenna to the rest of the world was almost getting more sensitive. So not only was I able to like sort of sense the outside world, I was able to sense the inside world. And I started asking more questions. So I got into this point like, why, but why though? Why is that working? Why am I off this medication? He's like, well, there's blood pressure center, there's research that upper cervical adjustments, meaning adjustments in the upper neck, lower blood pressure. There's stuff in the upper thoracic that also help with that. I'm like, well, that checks out. Wait, why didn't somebody tell me to do this? Because I really would have loved to just not to ever taken any medications beforehand, you know? Um, you're nodding and smiling, so I assume I'm staying on topic.
Yeah, I mean, what's just funny is because it's like that's where the frustration comes in, that last point of like, why didn't anyone tell me about this? Um,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, I ran into a thing recently where I was at work and I was talking to someone, his, neck was bothering him for the last week, and I was like, oh man, like what did your chiropractor say about that? And he was like, oh, chiropractor? I'm not gonna see a chiropractor.
Yeah,
I
and
yeah. I was like, listen, man, I get it. It took me a year of my scary German acupuncturist to nagging me to go see you before I did it.
the acupuncturist that sounds scary but is not at all and is literally like the sweetest human being
Oh
you've
yeah.
ever met.
Yes, the most kind and loving person. But like if she tells you to do something, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
I gotta tell you, you just add that German accent to it. You're like, yep, no problem. I will not drink cold things. No problem. I won't do that. Um, I
Yeah,
think I
and
fought
it's
that a little bit until I finally just listened.
yeah. So I mean,
But
it's like it's frustrating when it's like all you can do is just share the wonder. Like that's
yeah,
pretty much what I said. I was like, there was a point in like my time under, particularly under your care, where I was just like, oh my God, you guys got to go see him. You got to go see a chiropractor. I was like, to a point that people were like, is someone paying Jake to like?
I was the same way. I wanted everybody to get under chiropractic care. I wanted everybody to have the same miracles that I had. Um, and then you get a little older, or you get enough pushback that you stop pushing it, right? You get a little older and a little wiser, and you realize, all right, I'm not, it's like I'm pushing truth on people before they're ready to actually hear the truth. It's too much, which in and of itself, I think is kind of like a bad thing, right? And that's people will, to your point, you said, why didn't anybody tell me this before? And the answer is really because you weren't ready to hear it. And that goes with mystery school work. Because some of us you'll be so jazzed. I mean, you'll go to a class and oh my God, I need to profess this to the world. And that's your loving heart and your loving spirit that wants to help humanity and sees other human beings as able to heal. And it's I think in a way it's like a cheat code as a chiropractor to get into mystery school because it just seems so well connected. You as a life activation practitioner, you and probably all the other things that you do, right? It's you want to help people heal. You have this like drive to serve. I think it's how every chiropractor really does get into it. But I think with the exception of a couple of screw like knuckleheads who just sort of they had an uncle who was a successful chiropractor. They think it's a good way to make money. And at that point, my opinions on that is like, listen, if you're getting into this because you think it's just a good way to make a living and you don't have a passion to serve people, just don't even bother because you're going to get your feelings hurt a lot. If you don't have a passion and a drive, don't do it.
There's much better ways to make money with a lot more
Oh,
cultural authority.
oh God, yeah, it's funny. You get into this, you're a doctor, you go through medical training, you go through 4 years of essentially a medical school curriculum with a lot of the key stuff missing because you don't do pharmaceuticals. There's things that are just not relevant to the scope of our practice. But you got like triple radiology, triple neurology, triple orthopedic. So there's a lot, and you get out into a world that does not care at all. And even if you sort of know that, which I did, there's no preparing you for it, you know,
Yeah.
which in a way, it sort of prepares you even more for the skeptic because you're like, you can't hurt my feelings. I'm already a chiropractor. Like
Yeah,
you
I did this to
know that
myself.
yeah, exactly. Nobody hurts my feelings like I do. Uh, but
Yeah.
I find so much joy in caring for people every day, though. Like, it doesn't matter. It's to me, I laugh now. You know, I I love that we're talking about the evidence-based stuff because probably some of my comments have come to mind for you that about when you go to a chiropractor and they're like, the first thing they tell you is I practice evidence-based chiropractic. I'm like, well, I also shower in water-based, like wetness-based water. Like, yes, chiropractic is evidence-based. It wouldn't be as old as it is and still around if it wasn't. Like, it's a very strange thing to say because there is evidence for it. Like,
I think the funniest thing is that, when I talk to people that have had poor experience with chiropractors, I mean, I've had poor experience with chiropractors. That's why it took me so
mm,
long to get to you. So I had a poor experience in the past, and having been so steeped in it with, working for you and being a patient under you, I've seen the difference between, chiropractic that is very much like cold and cut and dry. It's like this, here is the thing, and we're gonna do it to you, versus the one that like has the magic.
was like the difference between here's the thing and we're going to do it to you, and here's what I do and we're going to do it together.
Yeah.
Right. You said before this podcast, I'm here to just kind of guide you. And that's what we do. That's what you do as a healer, as a chiropractor, as a doctor, is the most effective ones are going to help guide you to your journey of healing because it's really the only one that's going to do it is you. I don't want to see you for the rest of your life. I don't want you to rely on the adjustment for the rest of your life. I want to at least educate you to the point of you knowing that when you're adjusted, when you're connected above, down, inside out, what your energy is flowing, your consciousness is better, your brain is more connected to your body. I want you to know that I want you to feel like that is a state that you prefer, and that is why you continue to go to the chiropractor. And I don't know if I can point you to a study that says your brain and body are more connected, but if you just read a little bit, we do know that it increases, nerve impulse activity, which I think can be explained as your brain and body are connecting better. And I'm sure you could find an objection or a pro or a con argument for a pro or against the argument for just about anything, not just chiropractic. If you want to be in just the logic brain, you could probably find a way to negate anything.
Oh yeah. And it's funny is like, I mean, to that point, like, well, for me, he's someone who now currently sees a chiropractor twice a week, pretty much every week, who's not in chronic pain. And, if you were to say to me like, oh, well, where's the study that says that you're gonna feel better when you're doing this? I'm like, well, what would be the point? I am feeling better. I feel good be doing this for my health. I don't need a study. I don't need a, random controlled trial and double
Oh,
blind. Like, there's a value to anecdotal evidence that I think we as a society are like shunning it.
I agree. There's this. I think inevitably, if you're relying on the logic brain, you're saying like, I'll believe it when I see it. And there's this other part of where the magic lives. And I mean, finding the magic, magic is real. And frankly, even if it wasn't, I don't want to live in a world where it isn't. Um, it's like I'll see it when I believe it. And whatever got you to believe it is any number of factors. But like when you have faith or belief, whatever, it's like when you're there, you're there. There's no real way to describe it. I don't need to study to know that I feel way better than I did before I started doing this. And I repeatedly feel better every time I leave. Every time I come, I feel worse. Every time I've been like I get adjusted, I feel better afterwards. Like that's evidence enough, right? That's your own anecdotal evidence. Just because you can't put it in a randomized co control. What do you call it? How do you in the science world say it and sound really serious about it? Randomized, controlled, placebo,
Yeah.
double-blind study. Is there a specific term in which you put those? Uh,
Empirical evidence, right?
ah, yeah. And there's a
Yeah.
place for all of it.
Yes, empirical evidence is super useful, but that means that you need to re it's all about reductionism in that sense. Like with science, the more empirical you can get with an evidence means you need to reduce the variables. You need to,
Mhm.
create this very specific situation that you can study really, really well and make sure it's not being affected by anything else. And
Yeah.
that's useful, but the more you reduce, the more you're reducing. Again, the fact is that life is complex. So
Yeah. It,
let's part of studying life is living in it.
that is true. And it's what brings me to this other thing about you can't really do one of those for, like, let's say a hands-on chiropractic adjustment. I don't even think you can really do those for an instrument assisted adjustment. You can do that for the instrument because you can take the human out of it. But if you bring a controlled group, or so only one group receives the adjustment or doesn't receive, and they don't know the difference, please point me to a specific place where you can tell me that one interaction of one human to another human, isn't going to affect that person's energy system. There's been studies that I've read where they did something called a sham adjustment, which essentially they just like did this, which that's an adjustment, right? That is some force from one person going into another, and then that person's body is essentially going to take that input and information. Their nervous system is brilliant. It's going to do whatever it does. They may believe that they received the adjustment and they may get some outcome from it, right? And as opposed to, like, I don't know, it's like, do you need a robot for that? But
Uh,
how does it work where one human doesn't affect the energy of another human? I mean, you can't even walk into a room with another person and feel exactly the same, right? So that's the beauty of being a human.
yeah,
But it's like, how inherently can you reduce all those variables? I don't think you can. There are really good studies. There are very good retrospective studies. There are very good analyses of just large pools of data that can tell you things. But I struggle with when people, especially it's like the younger kids, which I think is really just an inferiority complex. They're trying to sound important or feel important in a world where they want to help and they want you to trust them. Um, it's just like I would love to just tell them, just drop that, just smile, connect, show people you're listening, and they will be open to whatever. And you will get the occasional person who, oh, where's the study for this? Oh, where's the study for this? Where's the study for this? Where, like, okay, here are all these journals. They're there. Go read them. Right.
yeah,
I'm not gonna sell this to you. Like you came to me for the help. I you came to me. Like
yeah.
I'm going to need you to get there on your own in some form because I have a lot of people to help right now. Like there's 5 people in the waiting room, there's 2 on my table. We can't talk about why this did a thing today, right? And in every time.
Yes, I think that's like such an important piece, one that I actually recently hit home to me when I was studying up in Toronto at the mystery school was the importance that like in most cases when you're trying to serve other people, it's not your job to sell. It's
No.
and when you put your energy into selling to people, particularly if like you said they're not ready to hear it, well now you're using energy. You could have used that energy to help people that want to help.
Yeah. It's, yeah. And then the challenge is doing that with love at times. Maybe just for me as the sort of snarky, South and Northeast Philly Italian kid who just tells it like it is. Like, I'd rather hurt your feelings than lie to you because the ultimate goal is just trying to help you. Uh, gets me in trouble, but also, in some ways, it almost works more for the people that really want the logic because I'll tell you the truth, right? And but I'll measure it, obviously, but there, you know, you. I think there's plenty of examples of you and I having those conversations. After a while, you just being like, "But why? But why?" I'm like, "Just put face down,
Yeah,
take a
yeah,
breath."
and
That's why.
it's I know it was a big thing for me to let go of because we should be asking questions, but it's the right questions we need to be asking.
Yeah, and then like there is that evidence of there is that empirical that you want to follow, especially when you're trying to narrow down which questions to ask. Right? It's kind of why we study the Kabbalah, right? It is why we do
Yes.
Hermetic Kabbalah in modern mystery school. Is like you are trying to figure out which it's about asking questions. You're like, it's not about getting answers. It's like the quality of your answers is related to the quality of your questions. Um, yeah, I'm not going to add on that. That's just pretty much what that is.
Yeah. It's a thing that I repeat often. It's like the quality of the life you lead is directly related to the quality of the questions you're asking. Like I even had this experience actually. I'm excited to share with you about it. So one of the things that you've done in a school is that you've gotten certified as a teacher. And it's something that I've been kind of eyeing for a while. And recently, the list of programs came out in May, and there's one of them was Teachers Academy, where I could learn how to teach. And in the logical mind, I was like, oh, like I don't know, like I'm not, I don't like, am I ready to teach? Like, do I have like the skills? Do I have enough like healings? Do I have enough? Have I built up enough of a practice of like, have I helped enough people to be worthy of this? So I was asking all these questions. And one of my friends said, like, why don't you just, ask for some guidance? Like, all right, ask for guidance. Like, please, like, show me, like, should I do this or not? And I started walking around my office and I ran into this one person randomly who was just talking with me. And she was saying, like, man, my space, my home just doesn't feel very light. Like, it always feels kind of like gross when I'm there. I want it to feel good. Like, I wish I could just do that. I was like, oh, I was thinking, she was like, she actually asked, like, can you come and clear my space? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't want you to have to rely on me. I want
Mm.
you to be able to, make your own space feel good, someplace where you can like go home and relax. I was like, oh, I was thinking about taking this, program where I could learn to teach a class. There's this one class called Sacred Geometry where you can actually learn to, create this temple of light in your space. She's like, oh my God, that sounds so cool. And then I walked back to my desk and I realized like, oh, I was asking the wrong question. Like, am I ready to teach? No, the question was, are people ready to learn?
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's such a cool lesson. And I was just talking to my wife about this. So, Kat, I was talking to Kat about this, about becoming a guide, and it's kind of put like I don't know if I'm ready, and like it's starting to feel like that's not what it is, right? To guide other people, to teach classes, and like to you or you are like, am I ready to teach? Well, yes and no. but it doesn't matter. Just go do it. Right. You have a heart
It's
to
not about
serve.
you.
It isn't. It isn't. And when you get out of that and you do just go serve, even me, like I'm doing more healings again. Like I'm back to so basically we had a daughter, I have a toddler now, and that is a lot. That was required a big recalibration of how things were how the hell I was doing things, and I'm back in service now, and it's almost easier because in the beginning, like before Michaela came along, somehow it was about me of offering a life activation or spirit activation or a class or everything that whatever it is that I offer, and it really has just turned into I just listen and somebody will say something like, "It actually sounds like you're just looking for a life activation." Oh, what is that? Well, it's this, it'll help you do this thing that you were talking about and it'll help you get clarity and, remove those obstacles. And it's a really great place to start. And then if there's anything else to work on, we can do that from there. But why don't we do that? And it's just it's not like again, like you're not selling it or like telling people about it that aren't ready to hear it. You're just like waiting and asking the right questions and then somebody asks about it, you're like, "Yep, I'm doing it." And so like to be in service now is like, yeah, it doesn't matter like whether I have time or whatever. Is like I'll make the time. It almost like the time will create itself, and it's just I don't know, it's so much more fun.
It's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're getting more into the flow of that. And excited to hear that you're thinking about being a guide and all of that. I mean, I know, I'm sure it's on your mind often, but
All the time, and I all the time. And I know I'll get there. We'll get there. It's not about like being ready. There are absolutely certain things that need to be done from a practical perspective in my life. Not saying, oh, I need to do this and then I'll be ready for that. Now there are actual things that need to take place and need to be set into place for life, for to take care of my daughter, to take care of our home, in order to build like from there. And in the meantime, it's not going to stop me from serving. Just because I have not gone to the guide or applied for or been accepted to. Just because I haven't taken that step doesn't mean that I can't be in service. I could try to do everything that I possibly can. And I assume that all of that will just prepare me. And probably none of it will prepare me for the fact that I will be in service to people like 24/7, which is a beautiful concept.
it's awesome.
Someday when I get there, I think it'll be great.
Well, in the meantime, while you're serving people, would you like to share how people can find you if they're in the Boston area and they resonated with whatever you're saying and want to learn more?
Okay, so drnickp.com. So I have a website, it tells you about my healing services. It's pretty bare. It's very I'm not up on the SEO and the this, that, and the other thing. I know a lot of it has been optimized. I think I don't quite know how to use technology very well because I have actually had people walk into the office like, I sent you an email off of your website about this thing. Could I do this thing? Like I have not gotten any indications that there was anything from this. So I'm digging back in, but it's www. That's how I'm a millennial. I had the www. But drnickp.com is my healing work, and lifeworksboston.com is my chiropractic work. Um, they're probably just going to both become the same website at some point.
Yeah, great. Well, I'll put both of them on the for anyone that's on YouTube, I'll put the links in the description. And if you're on Spotify or any of the other things, I have not technologically figured out how to do links on that yet. So just listen
Ah,
carefully. He spelled it out.
I got to get you on Spotify. It's the way. It's where I find all my podcasts.
Yeah, no, I'm on there. I'm on Spotify. I just don't know how to put
Oh,
the links
nice.
to websites on there.
Oh, yeah. I'm not. I wouldn't be a good
Yeah.
person to advise on that. I
Well,
still
anyway.
don't know how to use Excel. So,
Well, this has been Science to Sorcery. Nick, thanks so much for being here, and thank you everyone for listening.
thanks a lot, brother.